Ridwaan, Moolla, CEO at Think Markets, joining us this afternoon to speak about those movements. Marginal movements on the all-share today, Ridwaan, a very stark contrast to the big moves we've seen over the last 2 days. What would you say were some of the big contributors to the marginal close in the red that we saw on the JSE today?
Hi, yeah. So, overall, like you saw there, the markets, they were actually just down 0.09%. So, pretty flat. This was on the green side, as we always say. Markets were led by, believe it or not, Moolla, which was up over 6%. On the downside, financial sector, that pretty much brought us, literally into the red. And that was down over 1.3%. But that was led by FirstRand, FSR, which was actually down just over 6.8%. And the main reason for that was it just went what we call ex-dividend. So that really and truly dropped it a bit there and pulled us a bit into the red. But remember also just one thing with FirstRand, they didn't just pay a normal dividend, they also paid a special dividend as well of 1.85 ZAR. So overall, market pretty flat. Everybody is waiting for tomorrow when the US CPI figure comes out, which is the inflation figure for the US. And that's going to be obviously really and truly give us a real movement in the market tomorrow.
What is then causing the big movements that we're seeing in the rand, Ridwaan, around 18 rand and 28 cents against the US dollar? Is this purely just a dollar strength story, or are there some other things to take into consideration for this weakness?
So it is dollar strengthening. If you look at any other current, our exchange rate, so to the pound, it's still at just over 20. But from a USD ZAR point of view, it is the USD strengthening. There's obviously, we had the PPI figures coming out today. But like I said, CPI figure coming out tomorrow, expectations, it's still going to be around the 8% mark. And that's obviously going to lead still to aggressive increases in interest rates. And the other thing just to understand is that while everybody thought maybe that inflation will be a bit lower, the US inflation figure coming out tomorrow is really and truly being impacted by, yes, the oil price, which has dropped a bit. So as they call it in the US, their gas prices have come down slightly. But the big thing in the US has been rent prices have been skyrocketing, and that's going to impact it. So obviously the USD still the safe haven for many investors and traders, and the USD has strengthened quite a bit.
Yeah, it has indeed. Let's talk about this huge national story currently unfolding in our own country, the Transnet strike, and the major implications that it's set to have for the economy, Ridwaan. We've had a number of companies. Thungela came out last week. Kumba Iron Ore has weighed in on it. Your thoughts on it and really just the gravity of its nature and the impact it could have ultimately?
So as much as Thungela was up today 6%, if we look at it over the last 7 days, it's actually down well over 10%. As you mentioned right now, yes, Kumba actually came out with an announcement. They're talking about losing, in the first 7 days, they were losing close to about $4.9 million US dollars. This is now going to rise to over $8 million and even further thereafter. Remember, all of these companies also, their big impact is going to be on what they lose in export sales. And Kumba was talking about, and this is just one company, and to put it into perspective, $11 million it's going to be losing in export sales. Now, that is really and truly crazy, and it's understandable why, as you and Sally was talking earlier, why these companies are coming in and saying, listen, we're willing to even pay to end the strike. Tell us what you need from us, because this cost is going to be incredible. And this impact, you're going to see it in the share prices and that coming in the future. Remember, they haven't yet reported on what these actual losses are. And the minute they do, it's going to impact these companies, especially Kumba, Thungela, and your resource sector quite badly. And that share price is going to obviously then drop as well.
Just very quickly, Ridwaan, are retailers said to be affected by this? Imports perhaps being delayed? Black Friday imports I'm talking about. Could we see an impact on retailers in the next few weeks or so?
Definitely. What we fail to understand is that Transnet, many of the common people out there, all of us who aren't in the finance sector and that type of thing, we think Transnet is more just rail. We forget that it's also handling our ports and quite a few of these things. So it is going to impact us. It is going to impact the retail sector as well. You could very well see. Look, I mean, at this moment in time, I think everybody's planned for the Black Friday sales and everything in the retail sector. They've got all their equipment, if I can put it that way. But it's going to have an impact on it. I mean, they're not going to be able to increase their sales or do those type of things because they may not have their products.
Absolutely. Ridwaan, Moolla, as always, thank you very much for joining us this afternoon. That is the CEO of Think Market, Ridwaan Moolla. And that is all we have for your business update in this hour.